Hi everyone, it's Sam Lee here and welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk to you about the contents of this document here. And this document is actually a book or a booklet that I've printed out. And it's not very long, it's about 30 pages long, and it was actually published 80 years ago. So it's quite an old book. And the reason that I want to talk about this document is because it talks about a weird mental process or a weird mental technique that I think if you learn about and if you study, could really make a big impact on your life in a really surprising kind of way. And the same goes for me. That's why I was interested in this in the first place. Now, before I made this video, I did some research on this book, and I was really surprised because this book is not really mainstream, but a lot of prominent people talk about this book. So since it was published 80 years ago, a lot of business people, a lot of writers, creative people, directors, and even scientists and inventors talk about this book and the processes and the techniques that are talked about in this book. And I was like, wow, I heard about this book podcasts that I listened to, and I thought, wow, I heard it referenced in a few different places as well over the years, and I never really got into looking into it. But once I did, I was really glad, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And this book is, like I said, it's 80 years old, so it's been in print for a long time. You can still buy it in the bookstore, you can still buy it in the Amazon.com and different places like that. And there's something called the Lindy effect, which says that things that last, ideas and technologies that last, continue to last. And what that means is certain books, they're hundreds of years old, they're decades old, and most ideas, most books, most business models, they come and go, right? They're like fads. They're here today, they're gone tomorrow. But some things last. And why do they continue to last? Well, the Lindy effect says that that's because there's something about it, something that's permanent about the ideas in the book. It's a principle, not just something that's very contemporary and becomes irrelevant tomorrow. Doesn't mean that it's true all the time just because it's lasted a long time, but it at least means that there's something significant within the information that you should notice and take a look at. So that definitely applies to this book here. And if you're curious already, well, this book, what it talks about, the process that it talks about is actually the idea, pun intended, of producing ideas. It talks about how ideas are created, what they kind of are, and how you as a person can produce ideas in a kind of a systematic way. So it's not plug and play. It's not like a computer program where you can get a predictable result every time, but there is a general principle to it, and that's what this book talks about. And the fact that it's been verified by so many people over the years, and that this book is continuing to be read by people and being referenced and talked about in podcasts and things like that, means that there is some universal kind of lasting truth about this process here. Now, why is that relevant? Why do you want to produce ideas in the first place? Well, I think that's important because ideas are everything, right? I mean, literally, if you think about it, a song is a musical idea, right? A book is a story idea. A business starts with a business idea, right? So, and your entire life, you have some kind of an idea about what your life should or shouldn't look like. And your relationships are also driven by ideas, right? How should I communicate with this person? That's an idea. How should I relate to that person? What kind of, what should I say? What should I do? These are all ideas, behind everything that we do is an idea. So I think if you're able to come up with better ideas, generally speaking, you'll have a better life. And I think, that's really important and at least worth us all looking into. Now, this book talks about ideas in two different ways, right? First of all, it talks about the principles of producing ideas, and then it goes a little bit into the methods of producing ideas. And when it comes to principles, he says there's two main principles that you should remember about producing ideas. And that is, number one, that ideas are combinations, right? So no idea is an idea on itself. So every single idea that you have is going to be a combination of something old, something that exists already, and then either that combined with something that already exists, or that combined with something that doesn't exist, right? But always ideas no matter how new, how exotic, has an anchor in something that already exists. So if you think about it, if there's a person that is born in a white room and never steps outside and is just gets fed through a tube in the wall, that person is going to have very limited ideas because that person has no reference point, right? Nothing in that person's world is going to be able to anchor him into having a new idea where he can, take this and combine with that. So if you think about it that way, ideas are always combinations of different things. It's never a new thing on its own. And therefore, he says that you should always try to expose yourself to more things, expose yourself to more data if you want to have more ideas. I think it doesn't come as a surprise if I say to you that the person who knows more things is going to have better ideas. I think we kind of intuitively get that anyway. And the second principle that he talks about is that, to produce ideas, this is related to the first principle. You should focus on seeing the relationships between things. So like I said, this is related to the first principle where there's two separate things, and the person who sees the relationship and how these two things are linked is the person who can produce good ideas. So, you should work on both, gathering lots of data and having a stockpile of knowledge in your brain, and also, working to see relationships between these two things. Now, when it comes to the method of producing ideas, he gives you a few steps that you can follow, right? So the first thing, like I said, these are based on the principles. So obviously these methods are an extension of the principles. So the first thing is that you should do your research, right? If you want to have an idea about something, if you want to have, for example, a business idea or a musical idea, or you want to have a scientific idea or create something, an invention, what you should do is you should first research a lot of data that's related to that thing that you want to have an idea about. And this research can go in two directions. So what he says, he doesn't say this in the book, but I can reference this, is that what he talks about is that kind of a T-shaped learning. So he goes very broad. So he knows you want to know a lot of things about a lot of different topics. So you go broad, but then you also want to go deep into one topic, into the thing that you want to have an idea about. So if you're, for example, an advertising person, you want to go deep into the product that you want to have an idea about how you can market that thing. And you want to learn as much as you can about that specific product, have all the specific data points about that product. And then you also want to go broad. So, if this product is, for example, a computer, you also want to have broad knowledge about how society works, or even like how philosophy or psychology works, or even the marketplace, different political systems, even science can come into it. And you want to have a broad base of knowledge as well. So, this T-shaped knowledge base is what's going to help you get the best ideas. Now, once you've done your research, what he recommends is, as a step 2, is you want to kind of sit there and actively try to think about the connections between everything that you research. So you want to literally sit there and see, how are these things connected? How is a computer relevant to, societal factors that are going on now? How does it relate to even, who the president is, or random things like what's the relationship between a computer and someone's kind of level of awareness, or, even things like spirituality. I know that, Steve Jobs is a person that was deeply into spirituality, and he was a computer entrepreneur. So maybe there's a connection that he saw there, and that it helped him in his marketing for his business, right? And, once you've done that, what he says is step number 3, what you want to do is you want to just let go. You want to not think about these things anymore. You want to go do something completely irrelevant. You want to go to a concert. You want to go, just do nothing, watch Netflix. You want to go, go for a walk or a run or whatever. But try to put this thing out of your mind. And he says that inevitably, if you've done step number 1 and 2 right, and if you've done your research and you've instructed your brain to start looking for different connections between these things, he says that an idea will come. It will come. It will just pop up in your mind. And personally, I can attest to this because it's happened to me multiple times, and I'm guessing that it's probably happened to you as well. Where you thought about something really hard, you looked into it, you tried to get information on it, you talked to people about it, and then you got frustrated, you kind of gave up, maybe you forgot about it, and then all of a sudden you have an idea, and it just comes to you. It just pops up like something, like an object, popping up to the surface of the ocean. And he says that once you have that idea, and it's a good idea, what you want to do is you want to not cradle it and protect it, say, oh, I finally had an idea, I need to protect it. But what you need to do is you need to put it out and refine it, through criticisms of other people. If it's a piece of writing, maybe you want to give it to your editor. You want to refine this idea, because when it comes to you, no matter how much you like it, it's not going to be a perfectly formed thing. It's going to be rough around the edges. So you still need to clean it up, So, and these are the 4 steps that he talks about in terms of producing good ideas. And in this book, he goes into some other detail. Like I said, it's not a very long book, but if you can, I would really recommend that you read it. And I think you're gonna really find it valuable. And so this is something that I'm definitely going to try and implement into my own life. And I definitely believe that if you have good ideas, it's really going to improve your life. No matter if it's in your job, if you have better ideas, you're going to be more valuable in the workplace. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to find new ways to sell your product or new ways to improve your company. And if you're, a creative person, an artist or something, you already know the value of ideas. And you already know that, if you understand the process behind the creation of ideas, then maybe, it's definitely going to help you as well. Now, I know that I haven't really told you what the book is actually called and who wrote it. And that was kind of on purpose, and I would really like you to read it. And, and I think that if I just tell you what it is, you're not going to read it, because that's how the human mind works, right? Like, oh, I've watched millions of videos where the guy mentions something really valuable, and then I just say, oh, that's really cool, and then I just don't look into it or don't take action on it. So, I'm not trying to sell you anything here, but if you want to read this thing, just drop me a message and ask me what it is, or who wrote it, and then I'll just tell you. So either message me on YouTube, or if you have me on Facebook, just send me a message, and I'll tell you what the book is. And you can go and get it, or if I'm feeling really generous, maybe I'll even send it to you. Who knows? I mean, it could happen. I don't know. It depends. So anyway, I hope that you found this video helpful, and I decided to make a video on this big couch here, and I think it's I'm just testing it out, and maybe I'm gonna continue to make more videos here, maybe not, we'll see. But again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions about this book, again, please just let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.